everyone!
Hi everyone, hello.
How are you all doing today?
I'm fine. What if I told you that Messi was wearing a pyjama down below? Guess who's back again. Mommy's back. So tell a friend. Hi guys, right, so we are getting into what I don't know what.
This is the 4th week of Autism Month. As you guys know, throughout the whole of April, we dedicated the Tuesdays to autism awareness and advice.
Yes.
Today's the 4th week. This is the 4th episode.
True. And guys, I did not expect the overwhelming response that I got. And thank you to every one of you who came out and spoke out.
Yeah.
I was absolutely amazed and taken away. I'm going to be talking about to mainstream school or not to mainstream school. That's one of the questions that you've been asking me, sort of like things that, you know, I'm trying to answer questions that have been asked, and I'm trying to impart to you the wisdom I've gathered along my own journey. So some of it might not be how you want to deal with your son, daughter, child's diagnosis, but I'm just telling you the road that we've traveled. So as you know, most of us, unlike, our other counterparts who are raising kids that do not have special needs, we have to think carefully about every part of their journey. That is the nature of raising kids on the spectrum. You have to think carefully with everything else. So the question that I was asked by many of you was, what would I give advice on when it comes to schooling? Is it better for them to go to a specialist provision, or is it better for them to stay in mainstream? Right, guys, my answer to that is that it depends. It depends with your children's needs. What I'm trying to say is, when I'll give an example of us with Rio. When Rio is still at the school he started at. Remember, there was a lot of we had a lot of meetings, and the specialist education needs, I won't get into, because it's a fantastic school and I don't want to say a lot about it, but what I can tell you in a nutshell was there were suggestions that Rio needed to be in a specialist provision, but they were suggestions, right? This is the word you need to stay with: suggestions. No one can demand or tell you where your child needs to go and learn. You know your children better. You're the professionals to your kids' needs. The people who work with them in schools, yes, they are professionals, but we should be the lead advocates for our children. So for me, a specialist provision has never been the right environment for Rio, for many reasons. So we know, for our own personal reasons, we chose for Rio to stay in mainstream. Because the school he goes to, he already knew it. He knew, where everything was. He was well orientated there. He knew everyone, because it's such a small school. So for him to then change schools, it would have been had a very negative and adverse effect on him. So I was reluctant to change him into a specialist provision. But what I would say is, before you knock off any or make a decision, you need to go and visit the schools. I went to visit the specialist provisions, and I didn't think they were the right schools for my son. They were not right because of where they were situated, and also that the layout of the schools, the buildings, was not what Rio would have thrived in. So it is about what your children need. Also, one thing I want to say is, because many people choose specialist provision schools because they are worried about their kids being stigmatized by the normal kids. And that's the reason why some people choose for their kids to go into a specialist provision. Again, it's your choice, because at the end of the day, Rio is amongst normal kids on a day-to-day basis. They've gotten to know him. They absolutely love him. And he gets along with every one of them.
Yeah.
And also the other thing about children are very accepting, especially if you are honest with them. So they know that Rio's got needs, and some of the girls absolutely adore him, and they try to baby him and whatever. But because Rio is now grown, Rio will say, no, I don't like that, and things like that, and you'll explain that he doesn't like it. But kids, if they're told and if they're educated about, and they're made aware that amongst them there are kids with special needs that need extra help and whatever, kids can be very accepting. I've not had an incident where Rio has been bullied or left out of what he wanted to do, and he's enjoyed his stay in mainstream. He's in his final year of primary school. He's going to be transitioning into high school. But what I'm saying is, look at what your kids' needs are, right? Look at the curriculum. Is it going to, it's pointless, if your son or daughter or, your child is non-verbal and doesn't interact and is in a wheelchair, to leave them in a mainstream school where there is only one support teacher and it's a big environment which is very busy, and you don't want your child to be left by the corner and not attended to, because the nature of mainstream schools is that they have got a curriculum to keep up to and things like that. So if your child is going to be excluded because of their needs, it's high time you thought about specialist provisions, where it's specialist and they can focus on your child and give them the support they require. But in a nutshell, the choice is yours. Should you choose your child to remain in mainstream school, you've got a lot of things to do, i.e. you have to liaise with the school regularly, have regular meetings, get to know who's supporting your child, get to know what they're doing on a daily. Schools in general are very, particularly in the UK, they're very receptive to parents coming in to sit in and see what's happening with their child on a day-to-day basis. Meet with them, look at progress reports, see how he is coping or she is coping. Also, when they come home after a busy day at school, if they're anxious about being in the provision that they are in, you probably will need to start thinking, is it the right place for them? Because ultimately, remember guys, I've been saying it in the last videos, it's not about you, it is about your child. So what you need is to see if the environment meets your child's specific needs. So if it's a mainstream school which is huge, there's a lot of noise, a lot of activity, and your child cannot keep up with it, you need to ask, who are you doing it for? Are you doing it because you just are ashamed of your child being in a specialist provision, or you're doing it because you are worried about the stigma that's attached to them going to a specialist provision? So really and truly, the thoughts should be, what is stimulating or channeling your need for your child to remain in the provision that they are in? Is it because you're concerned about their needs, or is it because of your own issues that you have? We know that when Rio gets into high school, he is going to go into specialist provision, purely because we have already started the transition process. High school is a different ball game. We've looked at the schools, the high schools, and they will not be able to meet his needs. We've taken his education, health, and support plan to all the schools around us, the ones we wanted, and they've looked at it and his needs, and they've been very honest with us and said we cannot meet his needs. So we are looking at specialist provisions, but we have looked at different types which we can discuss in the next videos. So if you're looking at transition also, do not be rushed. Rio at the moment is in year 5. He's got one more year before he transitions, but we've already started the transition journey because we know where it's pointing to. We haven't had anything finalized as yet, but we are thinking very seriously about how his high school is going to be provisioned for, and about him as a person. He's been to every one of the schools with us. We take him everywhere because ultimately, like I've said, it's about him. And we ask him what his thoughts are about things. Sometimes you can tell that he doesn't like it because it's huge, and sometimes you can tell that he's not wanting to be here because he does, the corridors are too wide or whatever. All those things, we factor them in. So it's about the environment, the ambience of it, and thinking of Rio as an individual being in these big spaces, that is he going to thrive or this place is going to swallow him. So like I've always said in every video, you are your own child's advocate. And when choosing specialist provisions, look at what the class ratios are. Look at how the children are classed. Are they in a mixture? Because some kids in specialist provisions have got different needs, by the way. Some have got very moderate needs, mild needs, and some have got extreme needs. Are they all going to be put in one class, or are they divided into different classes according to their abilities? Look at all those things. Ask questions. What is the class to teacher ratio? I mean, your son or child might have individual specific needs. Take their plan with you and show it to the school and ask them if they are able to meet those needs. And, be honest. And they are quite honest with you, because when we went to mainstream high school, they blatantly told us that no, they would not be able to meet Rio's needs, and which is fine. And, we move on and we are well informed and we know what choices we have. So it is about research, guys. And you can look at, there are many alternatives of schooling your child. There are so many things that we can discuss in future videos, but for now I was saying that the thoughts should be around what your child needs, his specific needs, not what you want. Because sometimes as parents we think, oh, if we take our children to special school, we put the stamp of them being disabled. But it's not about that, because some of them, if we're specialist teachers, they are trained to deal with your children's needs, and they are trained to teach them the way they should be taught. So specialist provisions might be the best place for your children. So, or if you feel they can thrive in mainstream school, then so be it. And if you're having any challenges, if say you want your child to remain in mainstream school, but you're having challenges, for them to stay, you can have meetings, you can appeal against the decisions. And if you feel that you're not, being heard, you can look at advocacy for yourself to advocate for your child. So there are many ways of going about it. Schools are very much open to listening to what you're saying and why you feel that mainstream is the best for your child. They're very open to it, because at the end of the day, they want your child included as much as possible. So when thinking of mainstream or specialist provisions, you should have your child's best interest at heart. It's never going to be about you guys. It has to be about your children. Be honest. Look at how they're progressing, because schools will talk to you. So if they went into school non-verbal, into mainstream school non-verbal, and they look like they're regressing and they're anxious about going into school, have a discussion with school and find out exactly what is happening. Because they might be finding mainstream school very challenging, they might be finding it not very appropriate for them, and specialists might be the best for them. So it is about your children. It is about their individual needs. So look at them and match them to the right provision. I hope this answers your questions.
See you in the next video, guys. If you guys have any questions, comment down below. If you guys have any advice, comment down below. And yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and of course subscribe to the channel.
We want you to subscribe, guys. Keep on subscribing. We love to have this family grow bigger and bigger.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.